I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. We'll get into some sports stuff in a series called Untold. They got a couple documentaries on here. The first one I want to get to is Malice at the Palace. Spoiler alert, let's get it. So a lot of this from the time comes with the perspective of NBA Indiana Pacer players. At the time, that was Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, and Jermaine O'Neal. Now this story highlights Jermaine O'Neal a lot. They talk about his upbringing and all that, going through multiple teams before getting a shot at being an Indiana Pacer. You know, he grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. At the time, he was playing for the Portland Trail Blazers. Then they officially signed him to the Pacers. And of course, you talk about Pacers, you gotta talk about the greatness that is Reggie Miller. Reggie's been playing for 16 years at this point. Then they got beat by the Lakers in the NBA Finals. It was crazy. Reggie don't know how long he can keep doing this. He's like, look, I gotta put some pieces together. Enter Jermaine O'Neal. Ron Artest at the time we knew was a menace to the league, but he was also one of the greatest defenders they had there. So they brought him over to the Pacers. And you put all three of them together at that time, undoubtedly the best defensive team in the entire NBA. Keep in mind, this was around 2003, 2004. Now, Jermaine had a bit of a temper just like Ron Artest. The thing is, he kept it more together, you know what I'm saying? Keep it on the basketball level and whatnot. Best record in the NBA, and in the Eastern Conference Finals, they was going against the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys of the league, and that was time for beef. It was a tie game, and Ron Artest threw an elbow at the wrong time of that game, which knocked down Hamilton. In a game like this, where Detroit's leading the series 3-2, tied at 59 with less than 4 minutes left in the game. The Pistons, along with Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace, are going to the NBA Finals. Man, it was crazy. Reporters was going crazy with this shit, talking about halted by a flagrant foul, a fouled up finish. Reggie called it, they were the best teams in the NBA, and guess what happened? He had it right with the Pistons, because they ended up beating the Lakers to win that championship there. So Ron Artest already had a therapist. He was going through mental and physical training. He wasn't going to show up for the first month of training. He wanted to make an album and shit. I'm like, nigga, you a rapper? Reggie was like, come on, dude, we got to keep the system together, man. And Jermaine tells us a situation about how somebody in Ron Artest's family died, right? And he hasn't talked to him for like 3 or 4 days. Meanwhile, once that happened, 3 or 4 days went by, and all of a sudden on the Source Awards, we see Ron Artest with P.D. Pablo giving out awards and shit. We like, what the fuck? Jermaine's like, what the fuck, dude? Aren't you supposed to be at a funeral? Artest felt like he needed to clear his head. He needed to take his mind off anything but basketball, and then he'll focus on it later or something like that. He's a very unique individual, let's say that. But then owner Reggie got to talk and said, we need one more piece to make us the complete team. So then they get Steven Jackson, and then they got everybody together to start more hoes and niggas. And now it's time to go to the Palace. Alright, so let's set the tone here. Reggie Miller had a broken finger. He couldn't play in this game. It's early in the season. The Pacers are starting like 7-2. They're going into this very hostile mayhem crowd. A team that just won a championship by putting you out of the conference finals last year. And they got beef. Rabid fans everywhere going crazy, rubbing the salt in the wound. They only had a couple police officers there. I'm thinking to myself, there's only 3 of them there for a game like this. Ben Wallace actually joined in for the interview. He talked about the intensity, the rivalry, the beef, all that good shit. And you already knew it was going to be jumping up the damn charts. Steven Jackson riding with the crew, but he says he wasn't there for all that, so he didn't have no idea how intense this shit was going to be popping off. But he was hyped up, and he was ready for the competition. You only had 3 cops in the building, and you had people like Steven Jackson, Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. Revenge for last year. Come on, man. Y'all knew better than that shit. Come on. And here we go. In the entire game, the Pacers was beating the brakes out of the Pistons out here. At one point, they was beating by damn near 20, getting their revenge, the justice, the respect. So before the foul of all fouls, Jermaine Tunsley whispers into Ron Artest's ear, it's hard to get away with a little foul now. 1, that's unnecessary, and 2, why the fuck of all people would you tell that to Ron Artest? It's 97-82 at this point with 57 seconds left in the game. This shit is over. Steven Jackson ain't trying to play defensive nut. He not even trying to foul me. He ain't gonna waste his time. He's just gonna let Ben do what he do. Ron Artest comes out of nowhere and swipes him in the back. I'm like, oh my god. And of course he pushed Ron Artest, and then you already knew that shit was about to jump off. So Ron Artest says the reason that he laid on the table to chill out, he's like, look, everybody got my back for 1, and 2, he's been practicing his calming techniques by sitting on the couch, so therefore that's why he laid on the table. So while they try to calm everybody down, now Reggie says he saw it out the corner of his eye. So what? The beer that's being lost up straight in the air, the beer that hit Ron Artest straight in the face, and it was a wrap from there, son. He got there, laid that smack down on this dude. Unbeknownst to everybody else, it was this guy that actually threw it. Now, who is he? I'll explain that later on in the video. Pretty much everybody's going to the stands at this point. Steven Jackson laying niggas out. It's mayhem everywhere. Here's the guy thinking he was going to get some money for suing, whatever like that. The thing is, he came onto the court. The one Artest was battling when he came on the court with both their candy ass. Jermaine O'Neal slid with the punch and gave that nigga the business too. Now, Reggie Jackson said if he fully connected with him, he probably would have been dead. I'm like, okay, that's exaggeration. I'm thinking to myself, damn, he connected well enough, right? Now, these goofballs come to the floor, right? They were going to spray Ron Artest with mace, but I'm like, he's already down on the floor. Reggie Miller's talking to him like, hey, man, we got to control these fans out here. At the time, the officer said he did not know if that was Reggie Miller or who he was. He just saw somebody in a suit. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Just because he was out of uniform not playing, you couldn't tell me you didn't know that was fucking Reggie Miller? Get the fuck out of here. They were trying to get him out. They throwing everything at him. Goddamn, like the popcorn, chairs, and all this shit. He even said he was trying to collect a check after the fight and talk about, I'm suing. Of course you would. The chair was actually being thrown at Jermaine O'Neal when they were trying to get him into the tunnel. Just a bunch of calamity and mayhem. On the news the next day, obviously, they specifically pointed out Steven Jackson, Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal claiming they're quote-unquote thugs in the NBA industry. Like, literally, every program at the time was saying that, especially ESPN. So because the narrative was so wide and so stretched out, they had video footage. And on top of that, they ordered the players not to say nothing so they could diminish this malice in the palace and keep the integrity of the NBA. David Stern handed out some severe punishments. Jackson was suspended for 35 games. Ron Artest was suspended for the rest of the season. Jermaine O'Neal was suspended for 25 games, but when they went to the court, he got a little bit less than that. Because even the judge thought everything he did was so he should have done, protect his teammates and whatnot. They got harsher penalties from the NBA than they did in legal courts. Now, this chief police dude was tend to get to the bottom of it and not try to blame the players, but blame the fans that started whatever the fight was. He found the guy that started throwing the chairs. When he looked back at the tapes like 10 or 12 times, he found out who really started the beer throwing. It was a guy by the name of John Green. Ironically, he figured him out because he had hooked his sister up on a date once with him. That's crazy. So if you don't remember who John Green is, he was the guy holding on to Ron Artest after Ron Artest thought it was the other guy that threw the beer can. The one with the blue jersey on and the white hat. Not sure what happened with all the sentencing, but he got like hefty fines and community service and all that. Man, it was just crazy. So after 18 years in the league, Reggie Miller finally retires. Had the Malice in the Palace not happen, I'm pretty sure they would have got a championship in there somewhere. And in his final game, Detroit beat Indiana 87-79. It's crazy. The only man that should have a championship with the Pacers. Then Ron Artest took this time to leave the Pacers and join the Lakers. Jermaine didn't forgive him for that shit for years. Then he started to change his name to Meta World Peace and all that. Wins himself a championship with the Lakers. He talks about how he was supposed to win a championship with the Pacers with Jermaine O'Neal and Reggie Miller and Steven Jackson. How he acted like a coward and took the back way out. He wished he could have talked to them face up, head to head, but he didn't. Steven Jackson didn't take it that hard, but at the same time, he was like, damn, dude, you're just going to leave and then win a championship on top of that, huh? But the person who got affected the most, obviously, spiritually, professionally, all that shit, was Jermaine O'Neal. Meta World Peace is going on to do great things. Steven Jackson does commentary every now and then and stuff. But where's Jermaine O'Neal at? You know what I'm saying? And then 2017, they finally tore down the Palace. Detroit was going to build a new stadium and whatnot. And they officially tore that shit down. Dealed it. And all that. It affected everybody in multiple ways, but this documentary shows it really affected Jermaine O'Neal a lot more. Untold Malice in the Palace on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You're on the top of this. These are the easy best. Big. Good goddamn slogan.